Hey, welcome back everyone. Rob Marzullo here, Ramp Studio Comics. And today's video, I'm going to show you how to divide the head into equal 1/3 and how to utilize that to place features, how to tilt the head in a variety of angles, things like that. So this is actually a free sample lesson from my course on how to draw heads from any angle. It's now available on Udemy. I'm going to be sharing probably about 3 lessons with you in these next upcoming videos. So let me know what you think of them. Be sure to comment below. Let me get some, feedback from you. And if you're interested and want to know more, there'll be a link in the description box below that will take you to the full course, which currently sits at about almost 50 lessons and about 9 hours long. And I will be adding more lessons based on everybody's feedback. So be aware of that as well. So with that, let's jump on in. Okay, so now what I want to show you is how to divide the face and the head into 3 sections. There are 3 main sections of the face that you should worry about for placement. So what we want to do first is draw a circle, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I've yet to accomplish a perfect circle, but one day. And what we want to do first is slice off the sides, because no head is completely round, none that I've met anyways. And this is probably about 1/6 of each side or something like that. I don't know the exact measurement. I don't think there is an exact measurement because what you're going to do is oftentimes shift this based on the type of character that you're going to draw. So if you like to add a little bit more cartoon feel, then you might shave off more of this area, or more round, or whatever decision you make there. But the main thing is this: that you're going to slice some of that off, and that you're going to define a line down the middle. So vertically, and then you're going to think about the distance. The main thing is that these should be even, and I probably won't get a completely even version or even line going across. I always struggle with that. But this isn't about it being perfect, so just keep that in mind. This is about getting placement of this, and there's going to be lots of opportunity to refine the work as we go. So I never really worry about this being too overly correct in that regard. It's more about the segmentation. So essentially what you've got here now is you've got the top of this line of the circle here, or oval off to the side. It'll be an oval when we view it from different angles. And then so this gives us our first 1/3, our second 1/3, and then we're going to take this distance and we're going to add that one more time. Now again, this is going to change based on the characters that you're designing, but this will give you your basic 1/3 of the face. Now just so you're aware of what this is, or what we should be looking at, this is your brow line, this would be the nose, and then this would be the chin. And then we're also going to divide this last part into thirds. So 1, 2, and 3. And now what this does, it gives us the top of the lip, the bottom of the lip, kind of that little dimple of the chin, or the buildup of the skin right there, or whatever you want to call it. But essentially that's the breakdown. We're going to get more into the separation of the face. I really want you to just focus on the 1/3. So we're going to do some examples of that right now, but this is the basis of it from a forward facing point. And then as you were to soft erase this and redraw it, you'll see that we end up with more the head shape doing something like this. We attach that jawline, and this is going to change based on male, female, masculine, scrawny, whatever you're going for with your characters. And the other thing to keep in mind before we get into some examples, I just want to show you that you really want to think about the head tapering like this as well. So that's kind of why we study the skull as well, so that we don't get in the habit of just drawing these faces overly straight up and down from the cranium to the jawline, because there's almost always, if not always, a bit of taper there. So I just want you to be aware of that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this same example, and again, we're just focusing on that idea of thirds. And the top line, so also gives you your hairline. And again, these are all going to float around, but it gives you those 1/3 to work with. So now let's go ahead and implement this, and let's draw it from various angles and talk about that. All right, so now with this one, we're going to take the same information, we're going to do it again, but we're going to tilt the head. I'll draw it a little bit bigger too for you. So we start with the circle again. So, like we know, a sphere from any direction is a circle, so we put a circle there, even though we're thinking it's a sphere. And on the side of that, we're going to put our oval. So just so you know, I'm already envisioning where the front of the face is. This is what I'm picturing right there. That's where the front of the face is going to go. But what I want to think about first is dividing this oval off to the side in quadrants. So a line what would be vertically and horizontally, but it's on an angle, of course. And then we bring this line over, and this gives us the center line that we're looking for that was right here on this side. So now with that, we do it again. We need this line to come over. But one of the things I'd like to pay attention to right here is as this line comes over, we need to think about a bit of a plane change right here. Okay, so I like to kind of draw that in real light and bring that line up and then over. Same thing, up and then over. And I could probably make the argument that the brow is a little bit further up before the plane change. So something like that. And then a center line for the face. Now, you might look at this and go, well, you've got more space here than you have over here. And the reason for that is because of foreshortening. So when you're doing this, you immediately have to think about foreshortening. Always give yourself more space on the side that's closest to the viewer, closest to camera. We're going to talk about that more as we do up shots and down shots and things like that, but it has to be accounted for. So always keep foreshortening in mind and perspective in mind, even when doing faces. So now we had that last 1/3 right here, and this is pretty much the same distance, so we'll just add the same distance here. And then for the jaw, we add a little bit of a line down, and then we start to bring that line over and connect to our chin there. Now, this is going to be very subjective to the type of character that we're doing. Male, female, masculine, not so masculine. So all these things are going to shift based on those characters. There's also a relationship right here to the chin. So that's an important one to note. And then the ear is going to drop right in this lower back quadrant. Okay? And then as you bring the cranial mass back, it's generally from an angle like this going to go you're going to see it past the ear. So a lot of people, will struggle, myself included. It's just depending upon what you're feeling that day, I guess, but struggle figuring out the exact depth that you're going to get right here. But this base of information will get you kind of all the placement and the three main areas that you need to focus on. And we're going to get into placing the features in those areas and also using the features to measure the distance from one another that will really make it a lot easier to accomplish. But this is kind of the starting point, and you really want to practice this as much as possible to get comfortable with it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a few more examples with various angles. So let's do that. All right, so now we're going to use this method and draw a few more at a variety of angles. And this exercise is very important because what it does is it not only makes you quicker at doing this, it allows you to see where you should shift certain components of it to ready for whatever type of character you're going to draw. So at first we're going to draw all these very boxy and very basic in a primitive way, just so that we can really understand how to tilt it and get the variety to the head shapes that we're looking for. So things like up tilts and extreme down angles become a lot trickier to do. So you want to really just focus on the basics here, just the separation of the three areas of the face, the plane change, and then drawing a simplified representation of the cranial mass and the placement of the ear. And again, after this becomes just second nature and you've done enough of them, whether it be 10, 20, 50, it may take you 100, whatever it takes to start feeling that comfort zone, then you'll really be ready to start experimenting further. And with that, it'll be stretching more proportions and trying things that are just a little bit less than what you would normally feel comfortable with. And that's really the whole process of art anyways, is utilizing these different techniques to build comfort so that you no longer worry so much about the base information and you start to experiment. You start to be more creative. You start to forget steps and just naturally jump past them because you no longer feel the need to have them aid you. So that's where exercises like these can be very important. So with that, that'll complete this lesson. Let's move on to the next.